Happy Wednesday. It's 17 November 2021, and I am here with you this morning. It's been a while. I had some things going on in my life that really took my attention away from this, and I've been doing some studying also around the treatment of trauma, learning about freeze response. There's a program that I purchased and just want to broaden and deepen my knowledge of how trauma affects the body and affects the mind, and how that can be treated in a way that is safe and effective and efficient. Because so many of us have been traumatized in one way or another. We've had to adapt to situations in a not in a less than healthy way, and it has in sometimes profoundly obvious and dramatic ways, and sometimes very, very subtle ways, affected the way that we move through time and space, experience the world around us, and also influence the way that we relate to other people. So I've been doing that, and it's been good, and I'm not done. I just got started with it, and I'm looking forward to moving forward in this course that I'm studying, and really getting some good knowledge and information, and it maybe even some techniques that I can help others with, my clients, as I go forward with my business, my practice as a transformational and LP practitioner, master practitioner, whatever, Well, I mean, I know how to do stuff. I can help you. I can help you help yourself. I can help you resource. Uh, I can help you get access resources within yourself, to get you to a place where you'd like to be, get out of your own way. It's worked for me because as I learned transformational NLP, it also helped me with my healing journey. So I'm able to do this here with you, because I can tell you, if this was a dream a few years ago, like, I want to do this. I'd say, I want to be on the YouTube. I'd want to make videos. I want to do this. And I wasn't doing it. And I just had things to take care of. My trauma was in the way. And it's been a campaign to heal myself and get to a place where I can be here with you today, be here with you right now. Anyway, it's about, what time is it here? It's 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. on Wednesday, November 17th, 2021. I had wanted to get on and talk about Veterans Day on Veterans Day, but circumstances did not allow for that, and that's okay. And what else? Well, it's nice to have soil that is saturated, or not saturated, but impregnated with water. It's damp. It's nice to see green grass here in the San Francisco East Bay area in Northern California. We've been under these drought conditions for a very long time, and it's been horrible. So many people have suffered. So many organisms, animals, so much of the land has suffered as a result of dry conditions. And now we've gotten some rain, and it's cooler weather. It almost feels like wintertime. Like in the mornings, we've had some fog. It was kind of drizzly yesterday, which is pretty cool. Living in sunny California, you kind of want to curse the rain, but at this point, it's like the rain is such a blessing. Even if it's funky outside weather-wise, you just like, oh, thank you so much for being here. Ah, even my 11-year-old son Alexander, he's like, I like the rain. That's how uncommon rain has been, where it seems almost miraculous. It's not okay, man. It's not okay. Other cool things that are happening that I've noticed in the news recently, like within the last few weeks, is that they've actively begun operations to clean up the oceans of all that floating trash, the debris, which is exciting to me. I mean, to me, the cleaning up of the oceans is like the most important thing, believe it or not. I mean, like, there's so many things that are important, but if we don't have clean oceans, Everything hinges upon the oceans. Everything. Algae produces oxygen. It can help with the ozone layer and global warming. We we get food from the oceans. If we're not taking care of our oceans, if our ecosystem in the oceans is permanently damaged, then we will die. We will have committed suicide, genocide on ourselves, self destruction. Not nuclear war, not warfare, not shooting people, not shooting each other, not bombing each other, but actually just destroying our environment is going to wipe out the human race if we don't do something right now. And it's almost after the fact, but I think if we are adamant enough, if we can go after cleaning up our environment the same way we go after killing each other in a war, then we've got a chance. Because God knows, man, when it comes down to wartime, technology just advances. We put priority on destroying each other as opposed to like, and we do it forsaking the environment. Like we'll figure out napalm and it burns things up. Let's burn up some people. Like, oh yeah, but you know what? That napalm gets dropped in a forest or jungle in Vietnam and it burns down the Vietnam rainforest. Not a good idea. So big guns and battleships, let's bombard an island and kill as many Japanese as we can. Oh, but at the same time, there's not a tree standing on that island. That's the kind of thing. Or let's carpet bomb, whole forests or jungles because that's where the bad guys are or the other guys are. Not even bad guys. That's the thing. Our fellow human beings are down there, so let's destroy them and everything around them. So this shift in consciousness, conscious awareness, and the shift in focus to clean up our oceans and and uh, and be good, responsible curators of our planet will everyone will benefit, and we may survive, because it's still questionable. It really depends. Results vary by performance, and we are on the verge of extinction. It doesn't look like it because we're all here, but I can tell you, it can. It'll just. It's like a slow, and it's like the turning up of the heat with the lobster in the pot. That's what's going on right now in our world. So if we can clean our oceans, which is really exciting, I'm glad to hear it. We may be able to save ourselves. What else is going on? Um, there's like all kinds of cool stuff happening. There's kind of funky stuff happening too, but it's okay. It's okay. Let's just take a look here. Let's go look at news, shall we? Let's look at news. See news. Oh, there seems to be violence in Ethiopia. That's not good. Those folks over there, God bless their souls. Ethiopia is, that's like the Upper Nile region, and they say that the Ark of the Covenant. For those of you who are familiar with Judeo Christianity or the Abrahamic religions, the Ten Commandments. They were placed in this Ark of the Covenant, and it said that the Ark of the Covenant is being uh, the custodians of the Ark of the Covenant are in Ethiopia. A group of Jewish folks are there, and they've been protecting it for thousands of 3,000 years, I guess. So this is our heritage, and the people there in East Africa deserve our love and support, um, so that they can have peace and self governance and then thrive. There's enough food in the world for every human being to have a full stomach, and yet people go hungry. It's not about resource. It's not about the amount of resources. It's about the distribution of resources. There's a wonderful book in a film called Blood, Germs, and Steel, um, um, by Jared Diamond. Jared Diamond was an ornithologist who was, as I understand it, he was in New Guinea, Papua New Guinea, doing, on an expedition to observe or just or various birds of that on the island there. And he was approached by a local gentleman. And of course, the war, World War II in the Pacific, the war with the Japanese, um, was in the Pacific. And in Papua New Guinea, we fought there. We fought our friends, the Japanese. Unfortunately, our Japanese brothers, were our enemies for a period of time. God bless them all. And and so the local population, who had been, for the most part, isolated. Maybe they had some. They had They had been affected by colonialism, but most of them lived a very simple and Aboriginal life. Not all, but very limited exposure to Western Europeans and foreigners. And so during the war, um, because of the nature of the landscape, it was very difficult for ground transportation of resources. So they would airdrop uh, supplies down to the Allies in the jungle in big what they call Goonie birds or C-47 transport planes, and they call it, the cargo. So the word was, they say they're dropping cargo, and so this gentleman went up to Jared Diamond. He says, why do you have so much cargo and we don't? In other words, why do you have so much material and we don't have all this? We don't have material, and that really sparked an inquiry in his mind. He's like, well, that is a good question. I don't have an answer. And so he went about to research outside of his field of study. He went from ornithology to sociology, anthropology, and so forth, to understand why is there such a disparity in the distribution of resources on the planet. And he came up with some very sound conclusions, and it's very, very incredible, and it's basic, but it does have to do with land, with our geography, um, and what's available in the various locations around the world, and how that can influence socioeconomic development. If you notice, most large metropolitan uh, population centers are located near rivers. So again, water, ocean, ocean is life. So um, San Francisco, even Paris, France is on a river, right? Um, for instance, there's all these different places. Anyway, my point is, of course, ancient Egypt on the Nile, Baghdad, Iraq is on the Tigris River, right? So, I mean, there's just all these different examples. So, water is a key factor in human beings settling down in one place and then hanging out there. The other thing was the development of using machines, i.e., cattle like an ox or a various type of or buffalo, bison, as a way, not a bison because they didn't use bison or North American, but like a water buffalo, um, as a machine to pull equipment, pull a plow or carry an item, or the horse or donkey, these or camel. These allowed human beings to augment their capacity to move material or store material. And of course, as man became sedentary, I didn't know I was going to talk about this. I just got on the ramble. But anyway, moving on. As man became more complex and sedentary, the concept of property came about. When you're a band of 12 to 24 individuals, and you have to travel and track your prey, your food items, and you kill only what you can eat and waste nothing. So if you're 12 or 24 people, you may kill one animal, and that one animal, the food from that animal, the resource from that animal, the meat from that animal, the fat from that animal, the skin of that animal, any of its tissues from its organs, the bones of that animal are used almost completely by that group, you're not killing en masse. That the species, that prey item, its species is very nominally impacted, and therefore the food source is not exploited, and there's no waste. And then also, because you're moving all the time, because you're hunters gatherers, right? You have to go where the food is, so that you follow the herds. There's no way to move efficiently and quickly to follow the herd if you're carrying a bunch of items, right? So you only carry your shelter, a tent perhaps, or a shelter, or even for them, maybe even just heavy furs, skins, and then any other items that might be, excuse me, that might be necessary to survive in your environment. So there's no belonging. If something breaks, you leave it. If you can't carry it, you don't take it. And this is a big change that took place when man found out that, oh, I can, if I drop the seed here in the dirt, and if I pour water over it, and then I come back and that seed grows into a stalk of wheat, oh, I don't have to go and gather wild wheat. I can go ahead and domesticate this crop, and I can then store it in a pot in the ground in a cool, dry place. And then I can take it out later, and I can crush it into a flour, mix it with some water, heat it up over a fire on a stone, and then have bread. So the capacity, and then, oh, and because I've done that, now I claim it as my own source of resource of food stuff. This is a big deal. The other thing is, oh, and if I need to move, or if I need to carry this grain to a storage facility that I've created from where I've grown it, I can capture that animal. I can have that animal, because it's bigger and stronger than I am, carry this to me. This is like beginning technology, right? Well, technology is like a stone is technology. Hitting something with a rock is technology. Anything other than your fist is technology. So anyway, this is we've come from that to today. We can, China just shot down a satellite the other day, leaving debris in the orbit, which is very dangerous. Oh, forgive me, guys. I don't know why I'm so tired. Um, and now we are in this place where uh, where we are, looking at going to another planet to what? Mess it up? Go fuck that up? Go mess up that? Sorry, go mess up that planet, and then what? What are we gonna do? We're gonna just leave this place and then go somewhere else and mess up some other rock in the sky? No, we got to take care of ourselves. So this, we've come a long way as a species, and in the process of coming a long way as a species, we've done a lot of damage. And now it's to show ourselves some love, and really, really connect, reconnect with the earth, which is, kind of a feminine energy, and because it's a nurturing energy, it's a life giving energy, and we need to be in a healthy masculine expression as human beings to provide for the curation and the healing of our planet, and also protect the planet from ourselves. And that's a big deal. So, I think about people who make lifestyle choices. I've said this before in another video I did about what they choose to eat and how they choose to eat, how we choose to use materials like recyclable materials versus non-recyclable materials. Um, there's a lot of plastics, and I would love to see all the plastics being recycled and maybe even reconstituted back into like a fuel. I know it's expensive, but when you have a large enough facility, you can make it efficient. It cuts down on the cost, makes it more economical, more feasible. And what else? Politically, I don't know if I want to get into political stuff because there's just so much. I tell you, when the pandemic happened, I got swept up in all that stuff. And, I was trying to do my best to see things from a balanced perspective. In other words, I was not just listening to one news station or one news network. I was not going to listen to just one source. I was going to listen to um, as many different sources as possible. And of course, it broke down into about two different camps, maybe three different camps. And it just ended up being uh, information overload, and that the distribution of information and misinformation became so overwhelming, that I'm just like, I'm not even going to pay attention anymore. I can't. I can't. And then the fear that everybody was in and is still in is not healthy. There's not been a lot of rational and critical thought around what's going on here. And I just wish people would really kind of stop and be more contemplative about what's happening, more more inquisitive, more curious, more open about what's being presented to them, and also look for any parallels between present circumstances in the way of human behavior and previous circumstances or previous situations in human history, not so long ago, human history, and how people were influenced and affected by by information. So if you get anything out of it, like, I'm not saying one thing or another. I'm not saying what is true, what isn't, but I'm just asking people, or I'm encouraging you all to ask questions and seek answers, and be open to various sources of information, and then come to your own conclusion based on what you feel inside yourself as to be what makes sense for you, and be more up here with it and less in your heart with it, as opposed to just being in a space of fear. And I guess actually the opposite, huh? Be more in your heart space as opposed to up in your head in your fear. That's Fear is like a kind of a, you can spin yourself out in fear. And fear is a powerful motivator for people to do things that are immoral and unethical, or to allow things that are amoral and unethical to take place. I think about what happened in Europe 80 years ago, for instance, when people were so uh, stirred in fear of their neighbors, that they turned on each other, and they took from their neighbors, and they murdered their neighbors. And an entire industry was created and implemented for Europeans to murder their neighbors because of propaganda, because of fear. And I think we need to really pay attention to how emotions can be um, manipulated to get people to do things that are absolutely horrific to their fellow human beings. So just think about that, if you would. What's going on around here, and how you look at your neighbor. And maybe we're not doing something that extreme, but in the ways that we exclude, or we categorize, or we separate ourselves, or we separate others from us. What ways do we do that? And is it really necessary? And what is the motivating factor behind that behavior of exclusion and separation, judgment, ostracization, condemning our neighbors. For what? Why? It's not an external question. You're not going to get the answer so much from outside yourself as you will from inside yourself in your own experience. So I just would encourage you all to think about that. And I think I'll just leave it there. Coming on about time. So I just want to thank you all for stepping on over and hanging out with me for however long you did. Don't expect you to stay. Everybody has things going on, but I really appreciate you spending time with me, even if for a few minutes. And if you stayed through the whole video, bless you. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day. Take care.